1975 Yamaha DT400, early Japanese manufactured two-stroke enduro bike.
What's happening, guys? This is Heavy D, Uncle Dale's 1975 Yamaha DT400. This is the fourth one we've had this year that we've done a restoration on, and Dale did a lot of the work. We did some of the work. This is by far the nicest one of all. This was a no expense spared restoration that he did for himself. Then he hurt his back, and he had back issues already. One of the reasons why he bought the expensive suspension on this, the new seat foam, and the seat wanted to be real comfy for mid-Ohio, and there's nothing better than a big bore two-stroke. This thing's an absolute rush. Let me show you how much torque it's got. I'm gonna rip it up the road here.
You see a lot of guys who enjoy the off-road riding choosing Yamaha Enduro specifically, well, really any vintage dual sport two-stroke as, well, for one, an investment, and for two, a weekend rider that they can rely on. And that's because, well, the motors are incredibly robust, the transmissions are, well, exactly what you would expect. They stood the test of time, and they're virtually indestructible, easy to maintain. You could register it, ride it to a meet, ride it to brunch, take it off on the trails.
That's the best part about the Enduro. You can ride it on the street, you can take it off-road, ride it to the beach. The 400's got enough power to go on the highway. This thing is awesome. It's got brand new tires on it, brand new shocks, the forks are rebuilt, new brakes, so it handles beautifully. It's got the shocks are a little bit longer than the stock ones, and it's got brand new seat foam, so it's definitely better than stock. And everywhere you look on the bike, it's all well sorted out. Motor's completely rebuilt. It's got the nice gold chain on there. Beautiful 1975 Yamaha colors, pretty much totally bulletproof, big bore, two-stroke. It's starting to rain outside, so let's bring it inside and we'll go over what's been done to the bike. Plenty of power to haul 450 pounds up the hill here with Junior and I.
The auction results for these bikes have been going crazy recently, and for good reason. These bikes are few and far between. And when you do find them, they got blown crank seals. They need, well, everything done. Brakes are shot, tires are shot. You could hear the piston slapping from half a mile away. You don't see them as well sorted as what you see right here. I don't know if you guys could tell, but Senior wasn't sure whether to go left or right, and slammed on the brakes, actually locked the rear wheel up very easily. I think Yamaha made a revision to their drum brakes in '74 when they went to the new style of Enduros. The early metal fender Yamaha Enduros they're kind of weak brakes. This is before the disc brake era, and they were borderline unsafe. But at this stage in the game, well, guys, this is the peak of production for drum brakes and the air-cooled Yamaha Enduro two-stroke, for that matter.
Fun, guys. Broke out my Bob Hanna jersey and my Bell Moto 3 to match the Yamaha 1975, back when these bikes ruled the street and the trails. This DT400 is the top of the line enduro model for 1974. It's the big bore. It's got the radial head. One of the best features I like about this. Look at the radial head on this thing. Just beautiful. And this is Uncle Dale, AKA Heavy D, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He had a collection of over 100 motorcycles, and he had a rough couple years, and sold his company and downsized, sold his house, and sold all his bikes. And Kenny, this is the last of Heavy D's collection, right?
This is the last one.
The last one. We had 4 of these 400s. This was the nicest one. We saved this one for last. If you've been watching, the DTs come through the shop, the last 3. And if you were kicking yourself in the butt for missing them, this is it, folks. The last one. We don't have any more. The Heavy D's bike has the best of everything. We put brand new crank seals on both sides of the motor, and the piston, the engine's got a brand new piston, rings, base gasket, head gasket, plug wire, and plug, and the carburetor's been rebuilt, and it's got a new air filter in it, new gear oil, brand new chains and sprockets, nice gold chain. So the entire running gear in this bike is new. The going up from the carburetor, the fuel line's new, the fuel filter is new, the petcock's brand new. The inside of the tank was cleaned and then sealed, and the original factory paint was buffed and polished to a nice shine, and it's the original paint. It's not perfect, but it's 45-year-old original paint. No expense was spared on this bike. As I mentioned earlier, Dale broke his back a few years back. He fell off a loading dock and crushed his spine. He's a trucker. He had a big trucking company, over 300 trucks, major trucking company out of Pittsburgh. And so money wasn't an issue. He wanted the best enduro bike to bring to Mid-Ohio like us. He's into the vintage trail bike scene, and he's a big dude. He lost a lot of weight in the last year or so, some health issues, but he was like 280 and 6'2". So he bought the best shocks he could get. These came out of the UK. They're piggyback shocks. They look period correct, but they're nitrogen charged, much better than the originals. And he bought brand new top-of-the-line seat foam. So the seat's got like 4 inches of suspension travel and another 4.5, 5 on the shocks. Look at the bottom of the seat. This is a hallmark of the Yamahas. The foam falls apart. This has got heavy-duty, nice foam, all professionally done. The seat base is restored. There's no battery in it because it has a new CDI ignition battery. It's been upgraded from a 6-volt to a 12-volt electronic ignition. He paid $540 for the ignition, and then of course the installation of it. Some of the work was done before he gave it to us. We took it over the finish line. Again, no battery required on that. The original exhaust was sandblasted, clean, painted. The Enduro guard is in nice shape. It's got 2 new screws holding that on. It has new hardware for the seat. NOS, there's a lot of new NOS parts on here that added up to a lot of money. Over $6,600 documented on the restoration parts and labor. Starting at the top here, there's 2 brand new shiny chrome NOS gauges. The bike has 47 miles on it since it's been restored. Dale rode it a little bit before Mid-Ohio, and he ended up buying an XR650. Matter of fact, if you see my XR650 over there, that's Heavy D's XR650, and he hooked me up with that, gave me a deal I couldn't refuse. So that's what he rode at Mid-Ohio. He didn't actually take the DT because it wasn't finished yet, but he did ride it 47 miles or 45. We put a couple miles on it since we got it. Let's see, what else? Let's start at the front. New replacement, new old stock Yamaha Fender, NOS Yamaha mud guards on the front, brand new headlight, $500. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, $500 for the 2 NOS gauges. It's got a brand new ignition on it with keys. That was probably $80. A new clutch lever, new mirrors. The grips are brand new. The cables are all in excellent condition. I don't know if those are new or replaced. The original forks were rebuilt with new seals, and the fork lowers were painted last year when he did it. The front tire is brand new, as is the tube in the rim strip, and the brakes in the front were rebuilt and reconditioned. So the brakes are on point. The suspension's better than it was original. Moving to the back of the bike, obviously the passenger pegs are brand new. Nice cushy seat for your girl on the back. Brand new rear tire, matching the front tire, and a new tube. The rear brakes are rebuilt and serviced with new pads, new chain and sprockets. The rear fender was painted. The original rear fender is in excellent condition, as is the rear taillight. The original Enduro paint tank on the side is in excellent condition, showing a little patina, but hey, it's a 45-year-old original, so it's beautiful.
Going back on what Senior said, the mud flap on the front here is an aftermarket. The front fender, I believe, is a restored original, although we can't confirm. Throughout the bike, it's mostly new NOS or high-quality reproduction parts throughout, and up close, I mean, the fit and finish is on point, and it's exactly what you'd expect. I hope the photos do the bike justice. This is as nice as they come without, finding one out of the box in a museum somewhere. I think it also is worth mentioning, or emphasizing rather, original paint, guys. This wasn't a roach that Dale took and poured a bunch of money into. This was a very nice original, and you'd be hard pressed to find a nicer one. So
the other thing is, Dale, obviously 300 truck company, multi-property owner. He was a multi-millionaire. Money was not an issue for Uncle Dale, so he spared no expense, and he started with a great core bike. And he knew we had a DT. He wanted to make his better than ours. I think he accomplished that. And when he was done with it, we took it over the finish line. The frame has been repainted, and the engine has been repainted completely, top to bottom.
Yeah, it was a labor of love, very clearly. And
yeah, when Dale's up late at night and can't sleep and orders a set of $500 NOS gauges because he wants them perfect, that's a labor of love. He wasn't caring about what he was getting back out of it. Matter of fact, I know for a fact he lost thousands of dollars on the bike when he sold it to us, at least 2,000, because I know what he had into it. So this bike is going to be sold for less than you could buy. A stock DT400 needing a restoration that runs, they're normally bringing $3,000 to $4,000 right now. One that's done like this, one sold at Meekum for $15,000.
No, that was the Bring a Trailer auction, where a nut and bolt restoration with a very nice presentation went for $15,000, and I believe that was before the buyer's premium, or the 5% Bring a Trailer fee. So the sky's the limit with these guys. Nice examples like this will bring premium dollars at auction. This one's going to be going for, I believe the reserve is going to be less than 50% of what that other one went for less than 12 months ago on Bring a Trailer.
And I can tell you this is a reason why these sold for 15 grand, because the guys who rode them when they were kids, like me, I had a DT175, the little brother to this. They're an absolute hoot, being able to ride on the street, take it on the trail. You can ride it the nighttime. You can ride it on the beach at Daytona. You can ride it through the woods. You can take it to the store. You could use it for transportation to go to work, and make every day going to work and back a lot of fun. That's why they're worth a lot of money, because they're a lot of fun. And Yamaha, they're bulletproof, as I've always said. I'm a Yamaha guy. So,
guys, there's no excuses on this one. I'll sign off on it. If you follow the channel, we're somewhat specialists in this category, vintage enduros and race bikes as well. But guys, we could ship this one anywhere in the States inexpensively. Message your zip code for a quote. Call with any questions. We have, a good service stick on this one, and I'm sure the new owner is going to be pleased with it.
I've always had a nice bike, and I got my Saline Mustang in the garage since 1990 when I was Kenny's age, because my dad told me, he said, you got to reward yourself for working so hard, son. You got to have some nice things. So when you're getting up and going the extra mile, when you walk out of the door in the morning, I'm doing it for this. And to have this 400 Yamaha sitting at the front door of your man room or your garage, knowing this is yours and you can ride it every day, that pays dividends, trust me. And it's a 400, just like an RD 400. It's a two-stroke 400, so it's going to have more power than most four-stroke 500s or 600s. I'm going to go over a quickly with the work order here. 41 hours of labor between Uncle Dale's services and what we did to the bike. In the parts list, new head gasket, new base gasket, new top end piston and rings, wrist pin and circlips, and top end bearing. New air filter, new seat foam, new seat cover, brand new NOS speedometer, which is $250, and a brand new NOS tachometer for $250. Good luck finding those. New mirrors, new lever on the brake lever, replacement front fender, replacement rear fender, new mud flaps, new tires and tubes front and rear, new brakes front and rear, new chain and sprocket with the gold chain, brand new nitrogen charged shocks that came from the UK. These are not the China shocks. These are really well built. The UK is specializing in vintage bikes. I think they have a better vintage bike culture than we have in the U.S. Lots of respect. Lots of love and respect to the UK for what they're doing with the vintage bike culture over there. Brand new CDI ignition that Uncle Dale paid about $500 for it. New spark plug wire. The bike's been obviously steam cleaned, hand washed, polished, cleaned, touched up, painted everywhere. The swing arm, the fork lowers, polished all aluminum, touched up the motor. It's just been cleaned and polished every nook and cranny, top to bottom. A total of 41 hours between paint and labor, plus parts. The total came to $6,611.43 with tax on the work order. Again, new petcock, fresh VP fuel. The headlights brand new. I'm sure I'm leaving some things off here. Brand new crank seals. I almost forgot to mention that. It's a huge thing. Brand new crank seals. Resealed the clutch and ignition covers. Compression test at a perfect 195 PSI. And it took me 3 kicks to start it, and you can tell it's got 195 PSI compression. It's a lot of compression. So just a beautiful piece. Good luck finding a nicer one. Maybe you'll find one on Bring a Trailer for 15 grand. This one's a bargain compared to what that one sold for. We'll let the market determine what it's worth. Like Junior said, it'll have a lower reserve about what went into the restoration. So good luck bidding on it, and God bless America. And God bless Uncle Dale, Heavy D. I hope you're doing well out there, brother. I'll send you this video. I know you've been waiting to see this thing done. We love you, Uncle. Be good.